Live from beautiful Casa de Clark in Independence, Iowa, it's Unemployed with your host, Matt Clark. And now, for the thousands in attendance and the millions around the world, here is your unemployed superhero, Matt Clark.
Yeah, calm down. Calm down. Just calm down. Thank you. It is I, Matthew Clark, your unemployed superhero, with Max the Wonder Dog down here at my feet. On the 6th of November, about 10:30 in the morning here at Casa de Clark, the Music Conservatory. If you're eagle-eyed, you'll notice the JP100D is back in its perch over the unemployed shoulder here. We'll get to that in a few. It is Sunday, football Sunday. The Steelers play today around noonish, which is why I'm doing this video now, to get it out there and up there. To get it out there before I come back home. I gotta work. I gotta do homework when I come back home, so I wanted to just get this stuff out there and have something for you today. It is Sunday, which means Monday is coming. Back's feeling a little bit better. I had a hard night's sleep last night, but I'm feeling a little better today. Still a little tired. I didn't sleep fantastically last night. Back is just being a pain in the back. Anyway, luckily for me, the interviews I have next week are all phone interviews, so I don't have to worry about dragging my crippled ass into a building and staggering my way to an interview room. Ah! 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 To do an interview. It's all going to be over the phone, so that's kind of nice. I got 2 interviews next week. I think 2. I have to check my schedule again. Next week. Including 1 follow-up interview, so looking forward to next week. Max is excited. That means he gets dog food if I get a job, so he's really excited about it. The reason the JP100D is over the unemployed shoulder at its respective perch is because I made a comment in my last video that I consider myself a Dave Gilmore disciple. Would love to play as well as he does. I don't. But that's the style of guitar that I choose to emulate. I like that style of guitar. So what I thought I would do is show you this. This is a Squier Stratocaster, standard Squier standard Strat. Fender which you might be able to read on the headstock there, owns Squier. So Squier and Fender are the only two companies, technically in the universe, that can call a guitar a Strat. Squier is the affordable line of guitars from Fender. Just like Sterling's the affordable line for Music Man, Squier is the affordable line for Fender. I bought this. In fact, there might be a person right now watching this video who was there when I bought this. You know who you are. At a pawn shop for about $50, like a year ago. Like I said, none of my guitars are expensive. I went out on a limb when I purchased the old JP100D behind me. I don't normally go for very expensive guitars. This one was a pawn shop special for about $50. When I bought it, it had a white pick guard. That's this thing here. Scratch plate pick guard, depends on what part of the universe you live in. They call it different things. I call it a pick guard. I, of course, replaced it with this one. It was going to be straight black. Hush up. It was going to be straight black because David Gilmour actually has a Strat. It's a 69, I believe, Strat he bought in New York, which is all black with a, they call it a maple fingerboard. I don't have any maple fingerboard guitars lying around in here. Else I'd show you what a maple fingerboard looks like. This is a rosewood fingerboard, by the way. Not a maple. But you can buy maple necks to replace this one, which I was going to do. I was also going to buy a flat back black pick guard, scratch plate, to replace this one. I didn't because I found a company on the old internet there with the websites and the pages and the things. A company called TNT Custom Guitars, if you've never heard of them. They make products called Dragonfire pickups. That's what this is. This is a Dragonfire pre-wired scratch plate pick guard, whatever you want to call it. Altogether, this cost me like, I don't know, like $63. And if you go out on the internet there, the website, the Amazon.com, expensive pickup manufacturers sometimes charge $130, close to $200 for a pre-wired pick. When I say pre-wired, everything here came like it looks. The pickups were installed, they were wired together. All I had to do was solder. The bridge has a wire for a ground to the pick guard, and I had to install the jack. That's all I had to do. It took me about 45 minutes to install the thing. It was fantastic. I was going to make this a David Gilmour replica. I was going to buy a pick guard from a company called Seymour Duncan, pop it in here, and buy a new neck for it, and install it, and make this look like the Strat that David Gilmour uses a lot when he does concerts and things like that. They actually make, by the way, Fender does a replica of his Fender guitar for like $3,000. It's very expensive, which is why I didn't buy it. But instead, I saw this pick guard, and this pick guard has, if you're a guitar person, you'll notice it's a single coil humbucker pick guard, which I love Strats with this configuration because they're very versatile. The other configuration I like is the humbucker, single coil humbucker configuration. I didn't get that one. I don't know why I didn't, but I didn't. Instead, I got this one. These are very versatile. You can do a lot of stuff with. You can play metal with this. You can play Texas blues with this very easily. Altogether, this with all the stuff I did to it, this thing probably cost about $110 in the end. But it's a great guitar. I love it to death. I love it more than I should. It sounds great. Sounds great, in my opinion. I love it to death. So if you're looking at buying a new pickguard for your Strat-ish guitar, I recommend TNT Custom Guitars. Do a little Google search thing. That's actually their URL too, tntcustomguitars.com. They're very affordable. They're great sounding pickups. These are Crusader pickups. They're a version of Seymour Duncan pickups. They have quad rails too. I have the quad rails on my PRS copy. If you like doing metal, holy Schmidhouse, their quad rails will blow you out the building. Like I said, this is the this is their Crusader model. Big fan of it. I did mention too that excuse me, I'm a David Gilmour aficionado. I would say David Gilmour is probably the biggest influence on my musical style. I don't want to sound like him. I want to sound like me, but I love the techniques he uses, and I love his sound, so I do steal from him once in a while. If I was going to put them in order, I probably have 5 major influences on my musical taste and what I play and how I play. Pink Floyd's one. Pink Floyd probably influenced. In fact, if you wander around my channel up here, you're going to find some attempts to sound like Pink Floyd quite a bit on my channel. Pink Floyd's a big influence on me. The Who is a huge influence on me. I love The Who. I know The Who and Pink Floyd don't sound like they work together, but trust me, they do. Big Who fan. Probably the Rolling Stones are number 3. Whether you agree with me or not, I believe Keith Richards is a genius. People give Keith a lot of respect for the songs he writes, for not dying with how much drugs he took. But if you're a musically inclined person and study music, if you ever study what Keith Richards has done in his career, him and Billy Gibbons may be some of the most impressive songwriters as far as the guitar goes that ever walked the planet. Keith Richards is a genius, in my opinion. What the guy has written, just a great guitar player, a great musician. One of my favorites, Keith Richards. I love the Stones, always have. The last 2 are probably going to blow your mind because they do not fit with the other 5. Well, they do fit if you know music. Willie Nelson and Johnny Cash. I love how Johnny Cash wrote songs. His lyrical style, what he chose to be his topics for what he wrote. Plus, Johnny has some really great musicians behind him, trust me. And Willie Nelson, whether people admit that or not, or talk about it a lot, Willie Nelson as well is a bit of a musical genius. He's basically, people don't think about this with Willie, but if you listen to what Willie does, Willie Nelson is a jazz guitarist. Actually, he's actually a jazz musician, really, if you listen to the guy. How he sings, how he phrases his stuff. He chooses to live in the the country music world. Max, would you hush up? He's mad I got the guitar in my lap. But really, Willie Nelson is a jazz musician if you listen to him. A lot of jazz influences in Willie Nelson. I think Willie's a genius too. Willie and David Gilmour and Keith Richards and Pete Townsend are just two of my favorite guitarists of all time. I'm not a huge fan of the 60s British that psychedelic blues thing. You didn't hear Eric Clapton in that. You didn't hear Jeff Beck in that. Not really my thing. I respect those guys. Peter Green, I respect him as well. But I'm not a huge 60s British blues guy. I'm just not. Keith Richards is probably as close as I come to 60s British blues. I'm not Joe Bonamassa. If you don't know who he is, then you don't know who he is. Joe Bonamassa is kind of he's big in what he does, let's put it that way. If you've never heard of Joe Bonamassa, don't worry about it. Look him up. He's a good guitar player. He comes from that Eric Clapton 60s blues school of guitar players. He's young. He's only like my age, maybe in his 40s. But he comes from that lineage of 60s guitar players. Very Eric Clapton influenced guy. He's a very good guitar player. I am not shitting on Joe Bonamassa at all. I think he is very good at what he does. It's just his style and my style, which, by the way, Joe can play anything. I've heard him play thrash. I've heard him play country. I've heard him play blues. The dude can fucking play anything. But if you sat him down on a chair and said, play something, it would probably be something Eric Clapton-ish. That's just what he chooses to live in. And I'm not shitting on that, by the way. That's just, it ain't my gig. I don't do 60s British blues. That's not really my thing. So there. I have no ending for this. I'm just going to go, so there. Those are my 5 influences. If you're a musician and you have influences, drop them below. We'll discuss. We'll do a whole show on lesser known guitar players and well-known guitar players. We'll do a show. That's me in a nutshell. That's me in a nutshell. We can talk modes. We can talk scales. We can talk all that shit if you really want to. If you really want to, we could. But I'm not right now anyway. Because we're 17 minutes in, and I haven't really said anything of any real importance. Max agrees. So, yeah, we can probably call this a video for now. This, by the way, I've got this is my dialed back blues sound, by the way. But this thing can do a lot of stuff. I mean, let me change my amp here and we'll get a rude. Here's my dual rectifier amp here. By the way, I don't work for TNT Custom Guitars, by the way. Anywho, that's me rambling for today. I'm going to try and upload this. It'll probably take till 2 o'clock in the afternoon to upload this bad boy. It's over almost 20 minutes long now. So, there you have it. Sunday, football day, homework tonight. I got to finish writing a couple of papers. Finish writing a few papers, so that'll be tonight. From Casa to Clark. Maybe next week we'll have another special guest. How about that? I'll work on that next week. This is Casa to Clark, your unemployed superhero. Calling it a day. Well, for this video anyway. We will pick this up. Tomorrow. Pick this up tomorrow, where maybe I'll have some more intelligent things to talk about. Until then, this is me signing off. You have a good Sunday. Have a good football Sunday. It's daylight savings time. Set your shit back. Next week is election week, so I'll probably talk more about the elections next week. Maybe we'll do an election night special. And we'll just see you then. This is your unemployed superhero signing off. You stay sexy, San Diego. Take her easy. Clark out.